This is not connected right.
Noticing that too. We are having technical difficulties.
We're not on there.
For sure.
Oh.
Oh, did it come up?
Now we are. Okay, here we go.
See what mine does.
All right, let's see. So we have like a ton.
Oh.
It's like way too loud. Need to
Okay.
get the audio level set real quick.
Okay. Thanks for bearing with us, everybody.
Okay.
What do you think?
Test out that audio, see how it sounds.
Testing, testing. How we doing? Sound good?
I'll know in about 30 seconds. Okay.
You feel good about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal. We're going to record episode 35 of the Family Meeting Podcast. So you can join in with us and send in your questions, thoughts, comments, whatever.
Yeah. So we're still working on getting the whole setup ready to go. So anytime you change to something new, there's some transition.
Right.
Okay.
And I am no help at all. I literally sit and pray while he tries to figure out what's wrong with things. Because I can't help in any way, shape, or form.
Not much.
I can pray.
Yeah. But
So.
technical side, that's not your cup of tea.
No.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm excited about this episode.
I am not
think it's gonna
excited
be a
about
lot
this
of fun.
episode. I do not think it's going to be a lot of fun.
All
I
right.
feel like I'm in the hot seat today. So.
You are in the hot seat,
Yeah.
and I like that.
I don't.
Gather around, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas. This is my wife, Lysandra.
Hello, and welcome to our family.
Welcome to episode 35 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, I have the honor of interviewing a budding new author, my wife, Lysandra.
Hi. Yeah,
All this applause that goes on.
the crowd goes wild.
So she's written a new book, Balancing the Crazy, which is available now on Amazon in paperback and through Kindle. And you're also going to be working on an Audible version of the book, right?
I am. I'm excited about that.
So that'll be coming up. We'll get started on that probably pretty soon. But I wanted to take some time and just kind of talk to you about kind of the process, what the book's about, and maybe what some of your future plans are. Because I've never written a book. I might have an idea of sometime way down the road of writing a book or something if I actually would ever get to it. But what made you decide to want to write a book?
Well, first of all, I didn't want to write a book. Like, I adamantly did not want to write a book. And oftentimes people would say to me, you should write a book. Or, you know, something would happen in my life and they'd be like, man, you should write a book. And I guess I kind of thought like, oh, that must be something people say to other people.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's just what people say.
I don't think I've ever said that to anybody. Have you?
Have I said that to anybody?
Yeah. Have you ever told somebody you need to write a book?
I guess I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
So
anyway.
maybe it was legitimate, like, okay, you need to do this.
I don't know, maybe. But what I came to figure out is that I think that the Lord was speaking to me, not only in my heart, but through other people, because when they would say that, I would be like, no, because there was already some like stuff going on in my heart, and I think God wanted me to do this. I know God wanted me to do this because I never would have done it except for that he put it in me to do. So the time that I finally broke down and decided I was going to do this was I was reading a devotional through YouVersion, Mark Batterson's Chase the Lion.
Oh, that's a good book.
It's a good book, and it's a good devotional. I started with the devotional, and through that devotional, he was talking about what dream has God given you. And immediately I thought of like writing a book, but I had been pushing that down so much. So even when it popped back into my head, I was like, no. And then he even gave examples of like dreams that God might give you, like writing a book.
That's funny.
And it was like my heart was pierced. And he talked about how we have to take those dreams that God has given to us and trust him to fulfill it. And and if we don't, we're not obeying God. And it was like at that moment, I submitted to God, and I told him, I said, God, I will write a book. I don't want to, and I don't know what you're going to do with it, but I will take the step of obedience and trust you with it.
So I've never written a book. Many people that are going to listen to this or watch this online have never written a book. So can you kind of explain to us about how long did it take to write the book? What was kind of your thought process behind it, in accomplishing that goal of completing what God has put in you to start?
Okay, so I found out after writing the book that writing is definitely a passion of mine. I feel like I have a lot of passions, but
Yeah, you do.
but writing is definitely a passion of mine, and I didn't really realize that until I started writing the book. So the actual writing the book itself took me 4 months, and it was easy, like relatively easy. And that's not the hard part about writing a book, I found out.
I don't know. 4 months, first of all, to me seems like a really long time, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's 4 months on as a side gig. Like
Sure.
it's not my job. Like I didn't stop doing anything that I had already been doing in my life. I added this in.
Sure.
So I thought 4 months was fine.
No.
I was very satisfied with that. But what took a long time is deciding what to write, and then the editing and the self-publishing process. Those took a lot longer. So I submitted to God at the end of August 2019 and published January of 2021.
Yeah.
So it was about a year and a half, basically. What was you had another question there in there, right?
Yeah, what was kind of your process from
Okay.
from start to finish?
Yeah. So prayer, and more prayer. I put
Yeah.
tons of prayer into this, like prayer and fasting. And I asked God to show me exactly what to write when he did answer that prayer and told me what to write. Then it was like I was just scribbling notes on a notepad, and I had all these different ideas that were it was like God was just flooding into my mind. And I wrote down all the ideas, and then I started pairing those into chapters, and then I just started on chapter 1 and started writing. And God literally gave me, I felt like, what I was supposed to say each time. And then came the editing process, and I had a lot of friends read my book, friends that I trusted to be honest, and yet, either they were very good with English, or they read a lot of books in this genre, so they would know about content. So I had, I believe, 6 people read and edit the book, and I paid them in Starbucks gift cards.
Nice.
I was like, hey, friend. So they were very kind. And then I also hired a professional editor who I paid to edit after those 6 people had given me their edits. And then we self-published. And that took a long time, too, to self-publish.
Yeah, it really did.
That was where you came in. You did almost all the work on that because you're the computer guy.
I did a little bit of the work. To me, you did the hard part.
Yeah.
I just figured out how to get it to everybody. So
That was important.
you talked about writing it over 4 months, and that you didn't really change anything about your life. So I know that you're a busy person with a lot of different things going on, a lot of things you have to juggle on a daily basis. So how in all of that you have to get done, did you find time to actually write the book?
What's funny about that question is that the book is about balancing your time and being able to get everything in that God wants you to do. And some of what I talk about in the book is multitasking. So I multitasked all the time. When the girls wanted to cuddle with me, I was like, yeah, come on into bed. And I'd have my laptop in bed and let them watch a show that they wanted to watch, and we'd sit together while I wrote. They wanted to go to the park, so I would take them to the park, and I would bring my laptop and write at the park while they played with friends or cousins. We'd just pick a bunch of kids up, go to the park, and then they were kind of busy with their friends, and I was able to type. I typed on an airplane. I wrote in the cracks of my life is what I say.
And that's a good piece of advice for all of us that have something we want to see accomplished, but we feel like I just don't have the time to get it done. And trying to figure out ways that you can multitask, as you said, get a couple things done while you're accomplishing something small on your goal, because you never sat down at one point and was like, I'm going to write the whole book today.
No.
It was, okay, I want to accomplish this on the book today, write this paragraph, write this chapter, figure out the chapter titles. So for those of you that have something, maybe it's a dream that God has put within you, or you have some goal or thing to accomplish, that's great advice to, hey, just what little thing can I do to complete the goal while maybe doing something else that I need to do in my life.
Yeah, and I was afraid to have dreams, and you may be like me. So I have always really wanted to be content. Godliness with contentment is great gain, and I wanted that great gain. So like I made my lifelong pursuit of contentment. But what I figured out through that devotional that I read and through the Holy Spirit working in my heart is that I had allowed my contentment to create complacency in me and to be just have no vision. I had no vision because I just was so obsessed with being content with exactly how things are right now. But I didn't really think about the fact that God may want more from me. He may want more. Yeah. So
Okay.
so that was good to me to understand you can have a dream and still be content. And then I was able to follow in obedience, and then He took care of the rest.
So the book is called Balancing the Crazy. How did you pick the topic that you wanted to write about? I mean, there's endless things that you would have the ability to write about. So why this topic?
Well, first of all, I prayed and asked God what He wanted me to write, and that was a long process of prayer and fasting. But ultimately, he was speaking to me, and what I realized is He was speaking through all the women that I was in contact with all the time. So ladies in my ladies' Bible study, friends that I have, family members, and I kept hearing this, that women were so frustrated by all of the stuff that they had to get done, and they felt like they weren't doing a good job at anything. And I have absolutely felt that way for a lot of my life. And just like you're never good enough, no matter how much you try to accomplish everything in your life and you give it all you've got, and then this over here falls apart, or somebody is mad at you because you haven't given them enough time, and so on and so forth. And I just decided, like, this seems like a relevant topic to ladies today. And so that's why I wrote about balancing your crazy.
Okay.
I've got my own crazy.
So it's called Balancing the Crazy, but for those that want a little bit more specific details about what it's about, what does all balancing the crazy mean or entail? Can you kind of maybe shed a little bit of overview light for them?
Sure. So the whole idea is that we can't do everything and we can't be everything that everybody wants us to be. So we have to figure out what God expects of us and only fulfill that. And so I kind of talk about a process as to how to figure out what God wants of you. And then once you figure that out, go for that and just trust Him for the rest. And sometimes we have to cut things out of our lives, and so there's stuff in there about that. And also at the end of each chapter, there's a making it personal section so that you can go through and make it personal and apply it to your life and figure out, okay, what changes do I have to make in order to balance my life and my craziness?
I really like that at the end there with those chapter questions, because it helps us to apply what we've heard. You know, I know that so often I will read books or listen to books, and it's just like information in, and then a lot of times it's gone because I haven't really taken the time to sit down and figure out how can I make this applicable to my life. So if nothing else, just having those questions that you can answer will help to keep those things that you need to learn right in front of you and apply them. So we've had some people get the book back and read it. What is the most frequently asked question you get from people who've read the book?
The most frequently asked question is, who is the friend who ate the cinnamon roll with her bare hands while driving her car?
That is a really funny
it's so
story.
funny. Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah, me too. It was pretty fun to live it.
Okay, so that's the question. You wanna share with everybody
Sure.
who it is?
I didn't put anybody's name. Like, I talk about all my friends and lots of people in this book. I didn't give anybody's name, and I tried not to give any clues as to who was whom.
Because we do want to protect the guilty, right?
Yes, we want to protect
And-
the guilty.
and
The
the
innocent
innocent.
don't need protecting.
That's true.
So, yes, the cinnamon roll friend is Heather Berry. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So whatever thoughts you had about her being prim and proper, that helped to cast that false thought out there.
Yeah, what I think is funny is some people are like, oh, I know who it was. It was Heather. Like, some people know her well
Yeah.
enough they didn't have to ask. They knew it was her.
Okay, so in chapter 3, you tell some stories about an extremely strong, handsome, talented man named, I think it was Thomas.
That sounds right.
So tell me, how did you land a perfect guy like that?
I worked so hard to convince Thomas to marry me. It was not easy. Just kidding. He begged me.
Yeah. Okay. Seriously, though,
Okay.
you do talk about our relationship and how you keep it balanced. What advice would you give to a wife who feels overwhelmed by the amount of time needed to keep her husband feeling satisfied and happy? Especially for those wives who have a very needy husband like you do.
Yes. So my husband is very needy. I think I even put that in the book, and I was like, in a good way.
If there is a good needy, I meant, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you love me so much, and I love how
That
much
is true.
you love me.
I
It's
do love you so
fantastic.
much.
It's awesome to be loved as much as you love me. However, a lot of times, like, it's really hard for me to sit with you and be with you, and that sounds so
it's
mean.
so hard for her to be with me, everyone.
What I mean by that is I am an active, busy person. I keep my life very full with like lots of stuff I'm doing. Everything I try to do has purpose. I try to fill my life with things that have purpose. So it's not like I'm just, going out and having a good time all the time. But I have a hard time stopping working to sit with you.
Yes, you do.
That started first thing in our marriage. We've been married for 17 and a half years, and I still am not great at it. So he still has to tell me. But part of what we do is we have a lot of communication. So when he needs me to sit with him, he tells me. And then I put that right at the top of my priority list. That's going to happen. I am going to do that for you. And I just have to choose that you are a top priority. And sometimes it is difficult because there are things that you have to do or commitments and obligations that you have.
Right.
And so when that happens, I try to just explain to you that, I have this I have to do because I promised I would, but as soon as I'm finished, I'm going to come home and we're going to be together, or, let's meet for lunch, or let's go for the walk, or whatever else.
And I'm always like, stop promising your time to other people.
Yeah, which most of the time I get permission for anything, like not permission. Okay,
That's probably not the right way.
That's
I
not
don't
the
give
right
you
word.
Permission to do anything.
Not permission. We clear each other. We clear our schedule with each other. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
This is what's going on.
yeah, is anything going on next
Yeah.
week? I plan to do this. Yeah. So we do that, and usually it all works out. But there are times when it's like we need some time for each other, and that's where communication comes in, and then moving you to the top of my priority.
So as a busy mom of 4, how do you figure out where to spend your time? I mean, there are a lot of differing opinions about what is important to do for your kids. How do you pick and choose what to do? Because obviously we can't do everything. There
No.
isn't time for all of it. So how do you personally make those choices?
Okay, so it's interesting because there's so many different like styles of mothering out there. There's like the sports mom who wants their kids to be in all the sports and is all in with sports. There's the PTA mom. There's like the organic homemade cook mom and all of these different things. And so you have to figure out who are you and who does God want you to be, because you can't be all in all of those things. And so prayer, I always start with prayer. It's so important. I pray a lot. So I bring God into everything about what am I supposed to do with my kids. Like education is important to me, but education is not more important to me than their spiritual lives.
Right.
And so I figure out my priorities for my children as well. And then the things at the top of my priority list for my kids are going to be made very important. And if other things that I would kind of like for them to do or to be fall by the wayside, so be it. The most important things got done. So I want my kids to be healthy, but not everything has to be home cooked. So how can I make them something healthy, and yet I'm still running around and getting all my stuff done? Well, like I'll go get a bag salad kit, and I'll be like, throw the salad kit together for lunch, guys. So I know that they're going to eat healthy, but it's not like I slaved over the stove the whole day. So it's like figuring out ways that can work for your family are really important.
Good. Now, what's your favorite part of the book? As far as maybe you have a favorite chapter that this is the one, like if you could only pick one chapter for everybody to read, this is the chapter, I don't want you to miss this.
That is really hard because I hate picking favorites
I know.
for anything in my life.
So 10 chapters, narrow it down to one. I didn't give you this question ahead of time.
Yeah,
either,
this is so hard. I really hate picking favorites. Probably the friendship chapter, I think, because it's really hard to balance friendships in our society today. It's really hard not to hurt people in friendships, and I have absolutely hurt people, and I've absolutely been hurt by friends, and so it's really tricky, and I feel like it's very relevant to today, and I've had a lot go on in that area, and so I guess the friendship chapter, which is chapter 9, I believe.
Okay, so we all have only a limited amount of time to give to people, and we have a limited number of people that we can draw in and be super close. You know, look at Jesus' life, for example. He called the 12 to himself, and even amongst the 12, he had the inner 3 that were even closer than that. So how do you go about limiting the number of very close friends that you kind of bring in and choose to invest maybe a little bit more time than everybody else?
Yeah, this is really hard. I always start with prayer, so even though that seems very cliche and very easy to say, I truly, truly believe that you cannot make decisions in your life that will honor God without going to Him first. So always start with prayer. But then after that, the thing is, like, friendship is a two-way street, right?
Right.
So friendship, I'm going to give a little, you're going to give a little, and we go back and forth. And so I need my close friends to be give and take. Now, serving God, I'm happy to give. But that's not a close friend. That's somebody I'm ministering to. And understanding the difference there, I think, is really important. And
Sure.
there are going to be people in your life that they need you. And they just need you. They need your listening ear. They need your help, maybe even financially, or, support in life, like giving their kids rides or who knows, whatever else. And that's fine to have people in your life that you are serving.
And we all should have people in our lives that we're
Absolutely.
not serving.
Yes.
Sometimes I see these fake Facebook posts that are basically saying, if you're not adding to my life, then I'm cutting you out of my life, which
no.
goes against everything that Jesus taught.
Absolutely.
We should have people that we are just investing in, and
Yes.
that's okay.
It is.
But you're talking about, okay, a friendship goes beyond that.
Absolutely. A friendship means there are times that I give to you and I encourage you. And then there are times when I need the encouragement and I'm down and discouraged and I need you to be there for me. And so that give and take, that's a friendship. Where you just give into someone's life, that's serving, that's ministry, and both are important. But I think it's very, very important to understand the difference between the two and put your relationships in one of those two categories, because otherwise you become extremely disappointed with your friends, I say in quotation marks, because all you do is you do for them, and you never get anything in return. And so all of a sudden you're frustrated and you're angry with them, or some bitterness is going to start. So I like to try to understand, like, when I start recognizing that a relationship in my life is very one-sided, where I'm giving, I kind of take them out of the close friend category and I put them into a serving category. I'm going to minister them. I'm going to love them like Jesus would love them. But I'm going to understand going into it, I'm not getting anything out of this except for pleasing my Savior. And that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that naturally there will just be a couple people, maybe 1 or 2, 3 people, that you will see that, hey, they are fully invested in what's best for me. They are invested in my life. And so then in turn, we invest in them too. And so we have this mutual thing.
Yep.
But that's going to be a limited number of people. And I think that friendship chapter that he wrote and mentioned just a second ago will go a long way in helping people to kind of balance out some of the things in their life.
I hope so. It took me so many years to learn so few little things. I wish I could have learned them earlier on in my life. I would have saved myself a lot of heartache.
So maybe this chapter will help some of you learn something maybe a little quicker than
I hope so.
Than Lysander learned.
I'm a slow learner when it comes to relationships.
So the book is called Balancing the Crazy. I have to ask the question, do you feel like your crazy is balanced?
Sometimes. Not always. I can definitely I can slip back into bad habits and let it get crazy again and not be balanced. And other times I think that I do a really good job with the help of the Lord of keeping everything organized and in balance. But it goes back and forth. And so I have to constantly go back to God and ask him to help me to make the right choices in how I spend my time and what I'm focusing on.
And I think our homes are maybe a good illustration of that, because just because you clean up your house and get everything organized and in place doesn't mean it's just naturally going to stay that way.
Right.
When there's people living there, while there's life going on.
Yeah.
So it's constantly working to try to keep your home organized and everything in its place and in balance. And our personal lives are exactly the same way.
Yeah.
And there's going to be times where, because of whatever's happening, a certain section of my life maybe needs more time, more attention. And when that happens, that means that my time and attention from something else has to be drawn away. And we have
Right.
to have balance in all those things.
Absolutely.
So
All right, let me ask you a question. You're my husband.
I am your husband. Very good.
Have I balanced
You
my
ha-
crazy?
I would say there's definitely crazy. For those that that are wondering, there are crazy. But I think you do a good job of balancing the things that are going on in our life. I think
So we
sometimes,
agree.
well,
Sometimes.
kind of. I think sometimes you just need to give your husband more attention,
Right.
more love, more affection, more gifts, more foot rubs, those sorts of things.
You look so neglected. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
People's hearts are
Pray
breaking
for me out
for
there,
you.
everybody. So, no, I think you do a fantastic job. And part of that, I think, is that you depend upon God first and you look to Him first. And when we have God in the right place, then that helps to bring everything else into place.
Yeah. I can't do it without having God first.
But starting with figuring out what your main priorities are is so important. And so God first, then what relationships after that, and what comes down to after that. So I'll give you 2 thumbs up on having, at this moment in your life, the crazy balanced.
Okay.
So
we'll
way
see
to
how
go.
it goes tomorrow.
So we like to have a family meeting idea for everybody every week. And tonight we want you to sit down and kind of spend some time with your spouse discussing what are the expectations you have for one another. You know, is there an area of your life where you kind of feel neglected, where something maybe is out of balance? For instance, if I spend all my time and invest all my energy into work, career, but I'm not giving the proper amount of time to my wife and kids, I've lost balance.
Yeah.
So having a conversation, an open conversation to say, hey, is there an area of my life that is out of balance right now, one way or another? And you have to be ready to receive that honest, communication back and
That's
forth,
hard.
that honest assessment that, hey, you know what, I think you're doing a great job in this area and in this area, but man, in this one area of your life, it's out of balance. Maybe we could talk to our children about how they feel about the amount of time that we give them. Do we have balance in the area of our kids where we're not giving them too little time, we're not giving them too much time, and then talk about what can we do to bring balance back into your life and into the life of your family. So we want to thank you for joining us today. If you want more information about this, you can go to our website. That is thomasosterkamp.com, ThomasosterKamp.com.
We're so glad that you joined us today. Please share this episode with your friends and family and put it on your social media. Invite others to listen in with you. And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we talk about spiritually mentoring your kids. And we're going to dive a little bit more into what that means and what it looks like on a daily basis.
And I think it'll be really helpful for you because sometimes we just expect the school to mentor our kids, or we expect the church to spiritually mentor our kids, when the responsibility for my kids and their spiritual well-being lies with us as a husband and a wife, as a father and a mother. So we want to take some time to talk to you about that. We really enjoy the time that we have spiritually mentoring our kids, and I think that if you invest the time and the energy into this, it'll be something that you will enjoy as well. It'll be one of your favorite parts of your week. So we'll spend a little bit of time talking about that next time. Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned. Okay, there's that.
Glad that one's over.
Nice. You're off the hot seat officially.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Great. I really didn't want to do this one where you were going to interview me. I didn't like the idea of it.
Why not?
I don't like the spotlight. I don't like that. So.
Okay. Well, I think you did a great job.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks for joining us today. If you have any questions about the book and you want to ask Lysander, feel free to put it in the comments and we will get back to you. If there's a podcast episode idea or something else, feel free to share that with us. But for now, we're going to say have a great week, everybody.
Bye.